Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
Out here, there's no one way of doing things. No unwritten rules. And no shortage of adventure. Because out here, the only requirement is having fun. Bank of America invites kids 6 to 18 to golf with us. For a limited time, sign them up for a free one-year membership, giving them access to discounted tee times at thousands of courses. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/golf with us. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Restrictions apply. See BofA.com/golf with us for complete details. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
What do you do for a living?
I serve and I bartend.
Okay, so why would you spend $8,000 in furniture for a guy who you've been dating 4 months?
He had claimed that he did not have a debit card, and he asked me to make these purchases for him, and he would pay me back in increments or with his tax return money. He never sent me a single dollar from the tax return money, nor did he send me the full amount that I've spent on all of his items.
Right, that doesn't answer why you would do such a stupid thing.
This is the plaintiff, Ashley Berto. She says the defendant is her ex-boyfriend, and he owes her for all the things she paid for while they were together. He told her he would pay her back once he got his tax return money. Then they split up. Now he has paid nothing. She's suing him for $4,744.61, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Austin Mercier. He says he paid all the rent while he and the plaintiff lived together. Yes, money went back and forth in the relationship, as it normally does. And the plaintiff is now upset they're no longer together, and she's grasping at straws if she thinks he owes her all this money. He's accused of not treating his girlfriend right.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
Yes. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Millian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Berto, you are suing your former boyfriend, Mr. Mercier, for $4,744.61. You say he actually owes you infinitely more than that, but part of it has been paid. And you have filed this lawsuit after the two of you broke up. So talk to me and tell me what happened here.
So we had been together since around November.
November of what year?
November of 2020, excuse me.
Oh.
And then in February of 2021, we kind of like agreed on like staying together, but I didn't move in with him. I agreed to stay with him because he had asked me to help him purchase a bunch of items because he had friends coming into town, and he wanted to get his house together before his friends came into town.
Okay, so you put out how much money to help him beautify his home, even though you weren't living in it and you had decided not to live together. How much money exactly did you pay?
Well, I probably paid over $8,000.
Why would you spend, what do you do for a living?
I serve and I bartend.
Okay, so why would you spend $8,000 in furniture for a guy who you've been dating 4 months?
He had claimed that he did not have a debit card, and he asked me to make these purchases for him, and he would pay me back in increments or with his tax return money. He never sent me a single dollar from the tax return money, nor did he send me the full amount that I've spent on all of his items.
Right, that doesn't answer why you would do such a stupid thing, which is exactly what I'm asking you. I'm asking you why on God's green acres you would spend $8 grand for furniture for some other guy, not you, and you're not living in the place according to you, so you're not going to enjoy the furniture, so that he can impress friends from out of town. And I don't think you're grasping what my comment is. Are you grasping it now? Sounds awful when I put it that way, right? Yeah, maybe
100%.
Not the best of your many ideas. All right. Now, further than that, the friends come and they decide they want to stay in a hotel, not in his house, and you pay for the hotel.
He had his mom send me about $1,000 and told me that we can use that for the weekend. I spent over $1,500, including parking, including drinks, including Ubers or Lyfts. I spent a lot of money on him thinking that he was going to pay me back the entire time.
The $1,500 that you spent on the hotel with the friends, did you stay at the hotel too?
We ended up leaving the hotel that we originally were supposed to stay in because he didn't like it. He was upset that there was no hot water. They stayed and we left that hotel to a different hotel. Understandable.
Yeah.
But the hotel that we transferred to was a lot more money than
no, but
the
what I'm
original
asking
hotel
is
that I purchased.
the $1,500 that you put, you said his mother sent $1,000 so that you guys could have fun that weekend or whatever. That $1,000, was that consumed? And then above and beyond that, another $1,500 was consumed from your credit cards?
So from that $1,000, he had already owed me for a bunch of items like a couch. I purchased a dining room table, the TV, coffee table, lamp.
How are you keeping track of all this stuff? When you were dating and you were paying for things, how exactly did you ever have him sign a promissory note or anything?
So no, unfortunately not. Now, before this all even went through with paying for anything, it was already mutual agreement that he was going to get his tax return money and give me the entire
I have a
return.
question for you. Do you have any of that
Sure.
in writing? I know you don't have it in a promissory note because you just answered that. But what about texts from the time that you were spending stuff? Not texts afterwards. I have all the texts you've introduced after everything hit the fan. I'm curious, do you have any emails or texts between you and him before you broke up, when you're spending the money?
I have a text message from Tuesday, February 19th of him saying that he never got cash from his boss and I don't feel like going to his house. I will pay you. I can pay you back tomorrow. I'll grab food. So this is one of many text messages that he sent me.
Pay you what, though, and for what?
This is even before I even before I even
what is he
started this
referring
case.
to paying you? Like,
Honestly,
does his
this
text
is
say?
from February 9th.
Right. So what
I
was he going to pay you on February 9th? You don't remember. Okay. All right. Let me talk to you, Mr. Mercier. What kind of sugar mama were you making her into? According to her, all you did was have her pay all your bills and, and now you're a weasel and you don't want to pay her back. So talk to me and tell me your side of this.
So this is a relationship. Money was exchanged. We went out places. We used to go out to eat every weekend. I'd spend $120 on the tab every night just going to get food, Money was exchanged. We went to a hotel. Yeah, we had a good time. I paid cash for a lot of stuff. I work a lot. I work 6 days a week.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a manager at a restoration company. So basically fire, water damage. So I'm never really home. I was buying furniture myself. I actually have, the truck to go get the furniture. My mother was actually selling her money left and right. There's 4 or 5 different times.
Why is your mother sending her money?
I don't have an account right now. I have a different
Why don't you have an account?
Just basically have to open one. I just haven't opened one
Yeah, no,
yet.
there's usually a reason. Do you have somebody chasing you for debts? Like, do you owe money to the IRS?
No, I have a different account. I have a Cash App account. I have an actual account. I can't do things through the Cash App that you could do with an actual account. Like, there's a routing number and everything still. I get my direct deposits through there.
So I ask again then, why is your mother sending her money?
I would give her cash. So the way that Cash App works, you can't connect it to Zelle. So I can't send her money through Cash App. So I would give my mom the money and she would Zelle the money.
How did you guys end up breaking up? Like, what was the cause for the breakup, Ms. Berto, and when did the breakup happen?
We broke up on April 3rd. I was at work and I gave him a call on my one break that I had all night. We got into an argument because he was trying to speak to me and one of my coworkers was trying to also speak to me, and he immediately got defensive and hung up on me. Immediately, those text messages that you have in front of you were sent and we broke up. He already had boxes packed,
you guys
ready
broke
to go.
up by text, Mr. Mercier, after 6, 7, 8 months that you were dating?
In the middle of me and work.
Did you guys ever have like
It was more like she would come to my house and basically slam on every window I had until I came outside. If I didn't answer my phone, it was banging on my door. I was getting noise complaints from my neighborhood just because she was so loud. So, she would come and go. She stayed at my house. I got to a point where it was so bad, I had to put boxes on the side and tell her look, it's time to go. It's just, I can't do it anymore. And it had to be over text because if it wasn't, she was just going to be blowing up my phone nonstop. I just needed to let her know what was going on. And
Well,
that's how
no, it had to be over text because she would be blowing up my phone nonstop. No, it had to be over text because you were afraid she'd be violent, emotional, and dramatic and embarrassing.
That too. I mean,
That's,
that too.
because, she's not going to text you while she's in front of you. So you guys break up, and then tell me what happens with the police. She comes to your house with the police to get some of her things.
Yeah, so basically I texted her back and forth, letting her know that I have some items of hers. She told me that she would like to pick them up.
What were the items?
I didn't actually want a PS4, and a graphics card for a computer. So basically I told her, I said, I'm going to have Uber basically send it to you because I didn't want to see her. I didn't want any confrontation. I didn't want to be in front of her. Next thing you know, I'm getting a knock on my door. It's the police. So I step outside and I say, what's going on? And he says, she's here to get her things. And I said, no problem. I had my roommate walk out, bring her the things, because once again, I did not want to be face to face with her. He brought her the things and it was fine.
Okay, what did she say? I want my couch, I want my this, I want all the money I spent on furniture. And what did you say to the police about that?
Well, basically, I said she's been gone for a month now and not living in my house. These are my things from the start anyways. Now she's trying to take my things from me all of a sudden, now that we're not together. I also bought her a computer right before we broke up. So my birthday's on the 18th. We broke up on the 3rd. I got her a very nice birthday gift just because I knew, my birthday's coming up. Maybe she'll get me something nice.
That's the only reason you got her a nice birthday gift? Wow, you're such a catch.
So sweet.
She's very aggressive and not the type of girl that I really want to be with. So.
Okay, so you bought her a nice birthday gift because your birthday's coming up and you're hoping to get something nice. All right, tell me about the furniture.
Something nice back. So I bought furniture.
When you say you bought furniture, I
paid cash for all the furniture. We got this off of OfferUp. So basically, I paid cash, and I actually went to the gentleman's house and bought the furniture, put it in my work truck, and brought it home. That was a long time ago. So
okay, she says she paid for it.
I'm not sure why she's buying my furniture from my house.
Did she ever move in with you, Mr. Mercier?
Oh, yeah, for 3 months. That was it.
I never moved in with him.
You say you weren't living with him. Where were you living?
So I live at home with my mom. He had asked me to move in with him around Valentine's Day, and I said that wasn't really the best interest for me because I didn't think it was good timing. We were still trying to figure out our relationship and to see if we can, get more serious before I finally decided to move in with him. But he did ask me to bring in items slowly, like my PS4 and my computer desk.
Okay, which you got back the PS4, right?
Yeah.
All right, I have now looked through your Best Buy, your Discover, and your Target bills. Where am I going to see your payments towards furniture that you say you made?
The IKEA receipt is in here, in the evidence somewhere. With the IKEA receipt, I'm pretty sure I bought that through Discover. That's most of the furniture. The only proof of purchase I technically wouldn't have would be the table and the couch, because they were both, like he said, on OfferUp, and I took out cash, which all I had was a screen recording of us sending each other couches, and then I said I'm going to the bank to withdraw money. And then you see the transaction on the same date in my bank.
Would you ever give her money for any of these things, Mr. Mercier?
Cash all the time.
Do you have any receipts for any of the cash that you gave her?
This was a relationship. Cash went back and forth quite a bit. And same with going to food.
Well, originally you had said that you paid through Zelle, but there's...
Yeah, a lot. There's 5 Zelle payments for over $3,000.
Are there 5 Zelle payments from you?
No, from my mom and my friends, everybody that was around us.
I don't know that there's... First of all, I need you to stop claiming credit for any debt I might find you owe her being paid for by everyone in the world but you. Your mother and your boss, those you know about, that means I can believe you when you say you gave them money. Friends of yours paying her could be for other stuff, like she's paying for food. That's none of your business. If you don't know about it, then that's not you chipping away at your debt.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
How exactly are you going to prove $1,517.81 of household items?
So, unfortunately, all I have are the receipts and the actual bank statements.
What do you mean? When you say that, that's like the best evidence there could be. How are you going to prove that he owes you that? That's the part. I mean, yeah, receipt is a receipt, but what are you doing? Are you pulling just every Publix receipt you can find for the last 4 months?
No. So I had a date from, like I said, on February 14th. He said, listen, babe, I need you to help me get this house in order. His roommate, he had just kicked out. He wanted me to move in now that his roommate was out. His roommate took, the house was empty, completely empty. I helped him move in furniture. I helped him purchase the furniture. I understand, Judge. I really messed up. My parents have already given me the riot act. I know. Unfortunately, at the time, I thought I was making the right decision by trusting him, and I was wrong. Very wrong. I know. So fast forward, I really didn't think it would be a big deal after we broke up.
But it is a big deal because, let me just explain to you, Ms. Berto, it is a big deal because you've put everything but the kitchen sink in here. Like, in other words, it's not like, hey, I just wanted to get paid back for the TV and for the hotel. Because you put in here Lyft rides. You've put in here pet supplies. You've put in here U-Haul. What's Grateful Jay's purchases? What's that?
He has items in his possession that he has not given back to me that he wants to keep, just like the TV. First of all, this is my last resort going to court. I did everything, but you have plenty of text messages of him agreeing to send me the money, telling me his mother was going to send me the money.
Well, she did. How much money did his mother send you, which he gave her to send you? How much money?
She alone, aside from her boss, sent me $2,750.
Right. And then the boss sent me
$1,000.
So you've received $3,750 back, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I spent, because I'm looking at the exact breakdown, and I labeled everything, the lamp, the household, the food. I went ahead and put the TV in there and in date order. A lot of items like PDQ, Starbucks, vapes, Graba.
I know, but honey, why would you think that at the end of a relationship that you can turn around and just tally up every little penny that you've ever spent
these
and
are the
sue
things
for
I'm
it?
not asking for.
Right.
I
can't help that you're suing for vapes. I'm looking at that and I'm saying, are you kidding?
The only thing I'm suing for are glass pieces from the Vapes and More store that you're looking at. That was for cleaners and pieces and little
Were you
pads.
vaping too?
And I had my own vapes, but from the store, I have my own breakdown of things that I
know.
that I am not
Let me explain to you what you have. You have a piece of paper that you type saying, I'm owed for all this stuff. That's different from proof that you are owed for all this stuff. That's just you saying you're owed for all this stuff. Your piece of paper, you keep bringing up, I gave it into evidence, my piece of paper. Your piece of paper is just you testifying. So now we look at bills and receipts and credit cards. And then we have to trust that every single thing you're saying is something that he owes you for, as opposed to your purchases or your expenses or something you gave. Now I look at him and Mr. Mercier. What is it you admit you owe? Because obviously you've been sending money. There's chock full of texts where you say, yes, I'll send you the money. Unfortunately, they don't really. The most specific one says, are you going to pay me back for the TV, the hotel, etc.? That's what it says. So I don't know what etc. is, but I know TV, hotel, and etc. includes TV and hotel for sure. So you're saying yes all the time. So what is it you admit you owe?
I mean, I would say I paid for everything already.
Well, then why are you agreeing that you owe money? Why are you agreeing at the time of these texts?
Those are old text messages.
Right, that predate the mother and the boss paying. Okay, so what did you believe that you did owe money for?
The hotel.
What about the TV?
I mean, at the time, I possibly agreed to owe money to the TV if I owed money to the TV.
What about etc.? Did you agree to etc.? What was etc.?
Whatever. Probably all the things that she's saying. I don't know, etc. I don't know because there's so many different things she's saying I owe her for. I couldn't tell you. She's down to she's basically saying that I have no furniture in my house. I basically sleep on the floor and she wants all my things. I'm not sure how she bought
Don't want
everything in
your
my
things.
apartment, but
Do you have texts where he's asking you to buy all his furniture, you said?
So this is all in person because remember, we were staying together.
So the answer is no. You have no proof that you bought all his furniture, right?
I have proof that I bought his furniture.
And you also said you
receipts.
weren't living with him. So why are you saying we were staying together? What does that mean?
I started staying with him when he asked me to start purchasing these items for him.
Did you ever pay rent while you were there?
No.
And that's something
I
he brings
wasn't-
up, and his answer is, I'm paying all the rent, I'm paying for dinners. You know, this is just a free flow and a relationship of money back and forth. $3,750 have been paid so far. You're asking for another $4,744.61. I'm not going to order it. I'm not going to order it. The $3,750 covers the TV and the hotel, which clearly from the text he owes. I wish you had been more specific about what et cetera was. It's very hard for me to find a legal debt on his part to you in the free flow of things when you're just pulling out every single receipt from your relationship. I can't do it, Ms. Berto. You have the burden of proof when you come to court. You're the one who has to prove that he owes you more money. If he had paid you zero, I would certainly be ruling in your favor in the amount of the TV and the hotel. But you don't have a promissory note. You don't have any text from him saying I owe you money other than the ones we've already been over where after that he paid you $3,750. So, you know, I don't know how you plan to prove your case, but I've given you quite ample time to do that. Consider this a lessons learned. My verdict is for the defendant.
What?
Well, the plaintiff seemed rather shocked here when the judge says she's not going to win anything. Nothing. She was suing for $4,700. She doesn't get anything. Let's see what she's thinking right now. Ms. Berto, what's your reaction?
I don't even know what to say. I am in a lot of debt. My credit score has dropped over 80 points. And the fact that he has not paid me a single dollar and he gets to keep all of these items is actually insane right now. I have IKEA furniture there. I have every single thing in that house I had purchased to help him out. And the fact that this is how it ended, I am completely shocked. I don't even know what to say. This is not how I was expecting this to go at all.
The judge gave you a pretty rough going over your free spending in this affair. Do you think you've learned anything from this?
I already learned my lesson after talking to my parents about this. That's why they told me to go to court. I was advised by a lot of people to take him to court to get this settled.
$3,700 was paid back to you. You're claiming the $47 is still owed, right?
Well, there's still a bunch of furniture. There's pots and pans. There's dishes. There's food, all the food I purchased in the house. That's crazy.
Let me talk to Mr. Mercier. Mr. Mercier, how do you feel about this? Do you think you just got away with murder, huh?
no, definitely didn't get away with nothing. I paid my dues. That's all I got to say. Paid my money.
You don't feel bad for her at all? You don't think you owe any of that stuff that she's asking about?
To be honest, I don't, because of what she put me through. I paid her money. I don't feel bad at all. She's also put me through court for money that was never owed to her, so.
All right, you got off lucky, young man. Lucky. Let's see what Harvey feels about this. This is a real interesting lesson for everybody. Harvey?
Doug, we've talked about this before. When two people are in a relationship and money goes back and forth, it is going to be really hard to go into court and say, this particular item, he owes me or she owes me. You need to set the ground rules. And I know it sounds a little bit onerous when you get in a relationship, and especially if you move in with somebody, to start saying, okay, let's talk about who's responsible for what. I am telling you, grown-ups should be able to do that maturely. And if you don't do it and you ignore it, you're going to end up like these people.
Recently, our apartment building was sold, and the new owner raised our rent. Can they also raise our security deposit?
Well, yes. If the owner is able to raise the rent, it's because your lease is over.
Right.
They can't raise the rent in the middle of your lease,
Right.
but if your lease is over or you're a month-to-month tenant, they would have to give you 30 days notice that they're raising your rent, and you can choose to leave if that's what you want to do. But when they raise your rent, they can also raise your security deposit.
And most landlords will, because the whole idea is they want the security deposit to be commensurate with a month's rent. They can certainly raise your security deposit. It's not out of bounds. It's not unfair.
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits. like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
This is the plaintiff, Leilani Jones. She says the defendant is her neighbor, and his tree fell on her camper, damaging it. The tree was unhealthy. The defendant refuses to pay for her damages, and she's here in the name of justice, suing for the $1,052.95 she's owed. This is the defendant, Lynn Tuski. He says he's extremely ticked off his neighbor is suing him in court over this matter. The plaintiff knows this was an act of God. She's suing for more than her camper's even worth, and he owes this opportunist neighbor of his nothing. He's accused of not yelling, "Timber!"
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that the defendant's tree fell on her camper and damaged it, and the defendant won't pay. But the defendant says he didn't blow the tree down, the wind did, and he's not at fault. It's the case of not yelling timber.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Jones, what happened?
Good afternoon. So a tree fell onto my camper from my neighbor's property, Lynn. It caused damage to the roof and the inside panel.
All right, this camper was parked where?
My landlord owns the property. To my understanding, it's a shared easement, but the property is actually on my landlord's.
Okay, so you were parked there, and then what happened? Was it a storm?
There was a storm, yes.
All right, so, and do you have any pictures of the tree on your camper? What kind of a camper was this?
It's a 1985 pop-up camper. I did send you a bunch of pictures of the tree.
Yeah. Okay. How long have you had it?
For about 15 years. I bought it in 2007.
That's the ceiling?
Yes.
So when you saw the damage, what did you do?
I contacted my neighbor and asked him to come down so we could assess the damages.
Okay.
He came down and told me that the tree was perfectly healthy and he had no idea why it fell. He also told me that his insurance said that he's not liable due to an act of God.
Okay, so I assume there was some time between him looking at it and him giving you the insurance people's answer.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick time. It was within a day.
Oh, well, okay. And what about your collision that you have on this? Your insurance, you don't have insurance on this?
I do not have insurance on the camper.
Okay, let me hear from you, Mr. Tuski.
Well, Your Honor, this incident happened on February 2nd, which incidentally is Groundhog Day. It seems like I've been dealing with this incident over and over since it happened.
Okay.
But what happened was I woke that morning and to the sound of a chainsaw, and my neighbor, Leilani's landlord, was down there with his gardener chopping up the tree that fell from my property onto her trailer. The problem is her trailer was illegally parked in the middle of which is an actual road called Fawn Trail. So as part of my evidence, I submitted a county plot map of my property and Mr. Quick's property.
Who owns the road? Do you own it or does he own it? Okay. So, and
I own 10 feet into the middle of the road.
Okay. How long has she been parked there, by the way, on an easement?
Probably 5 years.
Oh, okay. So it never bothered you before this day? Right.
I never really had a problem with it. But,
okay. So tell me about the tree. Was this tree diseased in any way?
Well, not to my knowledge. The tree appeared perfectly healthy. I also submitted pictures of the root ball where it came out of the ground, and you can see the greenness of the roots where they were attached. You can see that the tree was healthy where it was attached, but the roots were literally ripped out of the ground, probably by a microburst of wind.
And what am I looking at here that tells me that the tree was healthy?
You can see the lighter patches of the tree roots where they were literally ripped off, where it's still green and viable.
Where's the green?
In the left-hand picture, you can see the bark where it's still green and healthy. I mean, in my opinion, I'm not an arborist, so I don't know, but...
Mr. Tuski, when Ms. Jones came to you and said, hey, do you have any insurance that'll cover this, did you consult with your homeowners?
I did, on the same day.
And what'd they say?
They submitted a letter to her, which I also submitted as evidence, which was dated February 8th.
The essential gist of which is act of God, right?
Yes.
Right. So what evidence, Ms. Jones, the law is that if my tree falls on your property, I am responsible only if I was on actual notice or should have been on notice that the tree was diseased and was causing a hazard to people. What evidence do you have that the tree was diseased?
So I also submitted pictures of the tree that he did not show parts of.
Okay.
The tree looks very unhealthy to me. There's multiple holes throughout the roots. The center of the tree looks weird to me. It's a little bit hollowed out, a little bit black.
Well, he can't see the center of the tree, can he? He doesn't see the tree when it's not...
I meant the base.
Okay. You're looking at holes, and this is where? In the root? What am I looking at in these pictures where you put hole 3, hole 2?
That is the roots. That's where the tree fell from. So there you can also see that there's old stumps on the tree. So there has been work done to it before. So there's definitely issues with it.
No, okay. Someone trimming the tree doesn't mean there's an issue with the tree. You need to give me an arborist who says this tree was dead, has been, and you could tell that it looked dead. And you told us in your complaint, in fact, you'd say to him that you have an arborist's opinion. Dear Lynn, I'm writing this to you as a last attempt to ask for compensation. And here's this paragraph. I had an arborist come out to inspect the tree. He said the tree shows signs of being unhealthy, and there would have been visible signs of this when the tree was standing. That's what I need for you to prove your case. Can I have that?
Yes, he went along and said that all of the holes in the roots were not normal for a tree. He also said that a healthy tree would have ivy growing all over it. I'm not sure what he meant by that. I need
the report from the arborist, the professional, for you to prove your case, because your opinion about how a tree looked, where you have no idea how that tree looked, because you never looked at that tree before, is not worthwhile in court to prove your case. I need the actual arborist's opinion. Can I have that?
I do not have a statement from the arborist because we found out that he was no longer certified, so he was not able to send me.
So did you get a different arborist?
Anything in notice. I tried to look into it. All of the certified arborists were too expensive for me. I sent you quotes and emails of me trying to get an arborist.
I have that, but you trying to get proof of your case is not sufficient to sustain the burden of proof in your case.
I do have evidence. I honestly think that the arborist is not my most solid evidence. Can I tell you what else I have?
Sure. Go ahead.
As far as evidence? I have a witness with me. When I spoke with Lynn, he told me the tree was perfectly healthy. And then he had a conversation with my landlord before us, and he had told my landlord that he knew he should have cut the tree down before it fell.
Okay, so who is your witness? Your landlord?
Yes.
Let me hear from your landlord.
Okay, I'll switch seats with her.
Great. Hi, what's your name?
My name's Celeste.
All right, can you raise your right hand, please? We need to swear you in. Okay, so tell me how you can shed some light on this.
My husband, there were some landscaping people that came by, and they were looking for work. And so my husband just asked the man, hey, do you have a chainsaw? Could you cut this into lengths and move it off of her trailer so it doesn't cause any more damage?
Is your husband here to testify?
No, but my husband came to the house and asked me to bring him $40 to pay this man.
Okay.
And that's when I went outside.
Okay.
And so I took my camera and the $40 and I took pictures of the tree on the trailer.
Okay.
And once the gentleman started up his chainsaw, then Lynn came down from his house and he said, oh, hey, I heard the chainsaw. And then he said, Oh, so that tree finally fell. I knew I should have taken it out the last time she had her trailer out of there, but I got lazy.
Okay.
And that's
Lynn,
it.
what say you to that?
That is not what happened at all. I don't recollect that conversation. What happened is I heard the chainsaw, and I had a conversation with Mr. Quick. And he
Did you have any conversations with Mrs. Quick?
No, none at all.
Did you ever say to Mrs. Quick or to anybody in front of Mrs. Quick, oh, I knew I should have taken that tree down, I got lazy?
No, I never said that at all.
Okay. Where's Mr. Quick? Is Mr. Quick here?
The other thing, though, Judge.
He's not? Where is he? Can we talk to him?
He paid us the $40.
Who paid you?
I paid.
Yeah, but that could be just an act of goodwill. That doesn't mean I knew a tree was diseased. That doesn't mean that.
When Joe told me that he paid his yard man $40 to cut the tree up, well, it was something that I could have done myself, but I paid Joe that $40, and when I did, I said, I pay this without accepting any liability. I'm paying it as a gesture of goodwill. So I'm very sorry that this whole incident happened. I apologize for it to Leilani, but I do not believe that I have any liability because it was an act of God caused by a microburst of wind.
Yeah. Okay, let me have Leilani back. The problem is that you have the burden of proof, and when you have the burden of proof and you're asking for $1,000, you know, if it's not cost beneficial for you to prove it, then it's not cost beneficial for you to prove it. The best that you've done is give me Mrs. Quick, who claims that Mr. Tuski said that day, oh, I should have cut it down. Okay, but that I should have cut it down doesn't mean that he really legally had to cut it down. It means he feels bad. So he denies having said that, but I'm going to assume he did say it. I have to know whether on the day in question that tree was diseased and or dead enough, and obviously so, such that he should have known that it needed to come down. That's a pretty tall standard, because I can leave a tree that doesn't have leaves now and it could come back. There's got to be some very obvious evidence. And the way you prove that to me is that you bring me an arborist right away that looks at it. And it doesn't have to be, you got a quote for the most expensive arborist in town. I mean, a tree guy could do. All right, I'm ruling in this case in favor of Mr. Tuski. Based on, the lack of firm evidence that the tree was diseased and or dead, and that he knew it and or should have known it. I don't believe that the statement by Ms. Quick, even though it's pretty much the best thing you had, carries the day on that. I don't. Verdict for Mr. Tuski. Sorry.
Well, there's a very interesting case with a lot of evidence. Unfortunately for the plaintiff, she didn't have the specific evidence she needed, which was a statement from an arborist. Ms. Jones, what are you thinking right now?
I do understand everything. I suppose I should have got an arborist. They were way too expensive. It was $700, which is about the value of my trailers. So I was concerned that if I took them to court and lost, I would be paying a lot more. But I guess if I would have got an arborist, I may have won the case. So lesson learned there.
I just hope this doesn't cause a lot of animosity amongst the neighbors in your neighborhood over there. Do you think it will? The fact that you sued?
No,
your landlord's wife?
This is the only issue I've ever had with a neighbor, and I'd like to just let it go and just move on with everything. There's no hard feelings or anything at all.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, sorry you lost. Mr. Tuski, how do you feel about it? You're not upset with them for testifying against you, are they?
No, not at all. I'm just really sorry that the whole incident happened, and I'd like to maintain a good relationship with my neighbors, and I just feel that it was an act of God.
Well, good for you. Good for you. And as far as the court is concerned, obviously it was. You can't prove otherwise. So that'll do it. All righty, Harvey, very interesting case. What do you think about it?
Doug, I gotta say that trees just don't suddenly die. When they get unhealthy, you can see it. And if you have a tree or your neighbor has a tree right on the edge of the property and it looks like it's sickly or it looks like it's just not doing well, send the neighbor a text or an email, put something in writing saying your tree is sickly. Then the onus is on the defendant, the neighbor, to look at the tree and evaluate it. And if they don't do it, your case is much, much stronger.
Judge Milian, do you call your husband Your Honor, and does he call you Your Highness?
Your Honor. Well, you know, one of the lessons you learn as a judge when you're no longer on the bench, and I'm retired, but you should learn it when you're on the bench, is that your first name really isn't Judge, okay?
Yeah, honestly, I answer to just Judge like it's my first name.
I know, I get it a lot too.
Sometimes you call me Your Grace, but you're making fun of me after Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I bring you your
Is there
coffee.
anything else I can bring you, Your Grace? Right. Will that be all, Your Grace?
Once about, it must be almost 10 years ago, I was playing golf in LA with George Lopez.
Oh, yeah.
And he was an excellent golfer, by the way, really good.
And a great actor and comedian.
Great actor, great comedian, very funny guy. And I think he beat me by 4 or 5 strokes on the day. But in golf, if you win a hole, you get the honor on the next hole of teeing off first. So they call it honors. And I actually won the first hole. We're walking to the second hole, and George, we get off the cart, and George kind of waves his arm and goes, Your Honor, Your Honor. It was the first time I laughed that day, but I spent the entire day laughing so hard my ribs hurt. And another thing, on the first tee, when I showed up, he was wearing these really cool golf shoes with the tricolor Mexican flag on each shoe. I'd never seen them before or since, but he had them on, and they were loud, and he had the game to back it up, so.
That's going to do it for this session of the People's Court. We want to see you tomorrow, so tune in, and we will see you then.